Finally, we're looking at section 4 of the Unit 2 test, determining the equation of a line from a graph, and that's questions 11 and 12. Here we have a multiple choice question where we're looking at this line, and we are supposed to figure out which of the equations represents the line. And we know that there's many equations that represent a line, so there'll be one choice here, but we know that there could be other choices if we were just writing them on our own. So I look at finding a point and a slope. We know our point is going to have something to do with a 4 and a 1 because that's what all of our choices are. So let's look at positive 4 and negative 4 to see where we're hitting on our graph. And if you look at negative 4, it doesn't quite hit at a grid mark. But if we look at positive 4, we can see that at positive 4, 1, this point right here, that does hit on my graph. So I can imagine that using point slope form, y equals m times x minus x1 plus y1, I could use that point for 1, and that's going to match here. So I'm going to have x minus 4, because I'm having a positive 4 here. I'm going to have a minus 4 in our equation, and then plus 1 because I have my plus 1, the y value there. Now I have to look at what the slope will be. And for the slope, I can count rise over run between any points on my grid mark. So I'm just going to make these points a little darker so you can see where they are, and we can count our rise over run here. So if I go up 2 and to the right 5, and it's the same, up 2 and to the right 5. So my slope, which is rise over run, is going to be 2/5, up to the right 5. And so I just have to plug that into my equation. So the equation that matches is going to be choice C. Taking a look at 12, on 12, it's open response, and we have to come up with our own equation. So I'm going to do the same thing I did on the other one, which is kind of darken my points that are hitting on my grid mark. And I'm going to label all of these points. This point right here is the point 6, -7. This point right here is 2, -4. And this point over here is -2, -1. And we actually have one more up here I can label, which is -6, +2. So these are all points along my line. And in addition to needing points, we need to know the slope. And the slope will be the same between any 2 points, any 2 consecutive points, or it will reduce to the same value. So for example, if I go down here, I'm going down 3. So that would be -3, and then I'm going to the right 4. So slope is rise over run. It is going to be -3 over 4. And that follows through. If I go down 3, right 4, that is going to be the stair steps all the way down my graph, the same pattern. And if I went on the other side, it would simply just flip where the negative was, but my slope is negative, so -3/4 is our slope. So remember that point slope form is y equals m times x minus x1 plus y1. That's what we're looking for when we're writing equations of a line. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples here for writing points because there are multiple answers and you might have different things. So if I'm looking at the point -6, 2, my equation is going to be y equals -3/4, that's my slope, x minus the x value, which is -6. So x minus -6 is actually x plus 6. That again shows that opposite correspondence between the equation and the ordered pair, and then plus the y value, so +2. So that's one equation. I can look at the next point, which is -2, -1. close my parentheses there. So that would again be y equals negative 3/4 because the slope is the same. X minus negative 2 is the same thing as x plus 2. And then plus a negative 1 or minus 1 would be for that equation. So that's a second equivalent equation that would work for this line. The point 2, negative 4, you could have y equals, again, negative 3/4 x. Now I have minus a positive 2, so that's why it's going to stay negative 2 or minus 2 in my equation. And then plus a negative 4 is the same thing as subtract 4, so it's matching the signs there. And last but not least, if I use this point 6, negative 7, my equation would be y equals negative 3/4, same slope, x minus 6. And then plus a negative 7 is the same thing as minus 7. So you can see the same pattern for all different points hold up for point slope form.